Chris Wallace here, advisor to man. In this week's edition of the ATM News, we cover fat shaming. I'm consistently surprised at how vehemently we protect the obesity currently killing otherwise good people daily. Knowing where it comes from doesn't make it any less painful. I saw something the other day that asked what would happen if you were to look at a picture of a busy beach in the 1950s versus a picture of that same beach today. The answer was that in the 1950s, there'd be no fat people in the picture. Regulatory capture is an economics term that describes when regulatory bodies that are supposed to protect society from capitalism's drive for dollars have been compromised. The beach scenes make sense given that in the 1960s, we saw the capture of the food industry as the cereal giants pushed for changes to the diet pyramid to allow for more grains while making fat the enemy. It's been downhill ever since. Health foundations for heart disease, diabetes, cancer, and dementia are sponsored by giant food corporations. The capture is deep. As the standard American diet, SAD, is introduced around the world, cardiac disease, diabetes, dementia, cancer, and even acne go up. The examples are too numerous to mention, and that's not what this post is about. You can do your own research. Instead, I want to point out the sex differences at play in the anti-fat shaming culture. You see, women are egalitarian to a fault. If you and I go hunt meat, we might be successful and take down a large animal, or we might fail completely or come home with just a couple of squirrels or a rabbit. If we're fortunate enough that our skill and determination pay off, and we bag a deer, we can't eat it all ourselves. And so the idea is we bring it back to the tribe for distribution. We hunt and gather to sustain our people and fire those extra calories into the next generation. To this day, a man produces more than he consumes. Meanwhile, back at the village, mom receives the meat and makes sure everyone eats. The young, the old, the sick, the infirm, and the indisposed are all fed an equal share. That's the essence of egalitarianism. Noble intentions, sure. You see, men operate in a competence hierarchy, recognizing specialized talent which accepts winners and losers in differing contexts. Women are nature's designated caregivers who find safety in numbers, and so are inclined to ensure everyone is treated the same. When I ran teams of reps selling newspaper trials door to door, I'd offer nightly prizes for top producers. To get buy-in from the crew, I'd let them have a say in how the bonus was distributed. If I had more male reps, they'd opt for top 3 get the bonus money, the rest get nothing. If I had more girls, they'd want a crew target where if it was reached, everyone gets an equal share. On our way out to work in the van, I could shout out, communist or capitalist? And the mix of male to female reps at work that day would predict their answer accordingly, every single time. Hell, back then, sometimes the guys would agree to be pied for being lowest seller on the team by the top female rep. I have pictures as proof. My point is this: the culture, the very culture itself, has been feminized. To be sure, this has built up over a long time, but that we even have terms like fat shaming says a lot about where we find ourselves. Consider that women spend between 50 and 90% of disposable income. Any real estate agent knows that you can't sell a house to a couple unless she gives the go-ahead. And of course, the media is beholden to its advertisers, who in turn are beholden to women's purchasing power. So we find ourselves with a femme-centric clusterfuck culture. Notice how movie and television studios have followed suit over the years, with abominable shows like Everyone Loves Raymond, perhaps the most passive-aggressive title for a sitcom ever. The feminization of the culture has elevated the fringe, so now public opinion is being ruled from the margins. Is this a good thing? I don't think it is. I'm all for treating people fairly, but the way I see it is that we have allowed chaos to rule where order is needed. Never did I ever think for a minute that it would go this far. Some years ago, This white male looked for a job at the Conference Board of Canada. Perfect. Right up my alley, the job was. Only the application wanted to know if I was a woman, a visible minority, native, or handicapped, implying plainly that these marginalized candidates would be considered first. Nowhere is this feminization clearer to me than with the unfolding LGBTQ debacle and its movement to get rid of Mother's Days and Father's Days to be replaced by Parents' Day, celebrating fetishes in public parades and with drag queen story hour, transgender males in sports robbing females of their victories and then contemptuously walking around the locker rooms exposing their genitals to girls. And of course, the idea of cutting the tits off teen girls under gender affirming care at Vanderbilt University. Where are the men standing up to this bullshit? What about you? Which necessitates expanding my original point to this. Egalitarianism begets totalitarianism. If you speak out against any of these things, you're branded toxic. Soon chaos rules, as it is doing more and more. In Canada, we have a feminized male as a prime minister, and we've never been less free. Fat shaming, the term exists because men are not standing up and saying no. Men should be fat shaming each other. That's what men do. A critical male survival trait is to bust each other's balls. In The Thwarted Hero, that might even show up as bullying, but it's part of the same evolutionary motivation. We fuck with each other and call each other on because, well, if you can't take a little pressure, how the hell will you ever stand beside me, shoulder to shoulder, and defend against an enemy? Think of that. When a man is able to take the worst insult from one of the guys, he breaks the ice with them and endears himself to all. He's welcome because his courage is proven reliable. Let me offer you an easy definition of what it means to be a man. A man is a male who defends, for if a male cannot defend, someone else has to step into the breach and defend for him. This is unacceptable. Think about that for a minute. In all things, be a defender, a powerful defender of life. And that starts with the body. Crying over fat shaming is hiding behind mommy. Socrates said, no citizen has the right to be an amateur in the matter of physical training. We should be calling each other out and demanding that the person next to you stay capable of defending against the enemy like the rest of us. Obesity is the enemy. The captured food supply is behind it and is also the enemy. Your complacency allows evil to reign over the land. We good men need to say no. The well-intended directives from the feminized culture, such as you're fine just the way you are, or just be true to yourself, or you have all the answers, are placations used to blow smoke up your fucking ass. Fact is, you're probably not fine as you are and can be so much more. The vague true self idea can become a loophole big enough to drive a truck through and drive obesity, addiction, anxiety, fear, and a mediocre life. Let me go further. Whomever said that you have all the answers is a self-centered fucking moron. As we men stand up to the standard American diet and reclaim our health and vitality, we may find the strength to stand up to the rest of our captured and feminized culture. That's your job as a man, to defend. I'm tired of seeing good men and women die well before their time because of diet. Should we stay quiet? I say not on my watch. What about you? Any questions, comments? Just holler at me. Why not send this to someone? And you know the routine about being a subscriber and all that. In the meantime, power and love, and stay true and free. Thanks for listening.